This conference will now be recorded.
Like, can we create an object of abstract class? Of course, no, right? So in the same way, we cannot even create an object of interface also, okay? So, but interface can be used as a reference to create its subclass object. What I mean to say is, let's imagine that you have an interface, okay? Just assume that you have an interface, okay? Something like this. And interface has a subclass. So yesterday we have taken an example of mouse. So mouse is an interface. The mouse interface is implemented. The dotted line indicates implements. Implements, let's say, CPU implementation. It's a class, right? CPU IMPL is a class. iMouse is an interface. We all should know one thing in Java, that there are two types of data types. There are two categories of data type. One is called primitive, another one is called non-primitive, right? So what are non-primitive data types? The data types which are declared in the form of class or in the form of abstract class. Very important, guys. In the form of abstract class, and any data type which is declared in the form of interface. So these three are data types, okay? So when I say string S, it's a variable. S is a variable. Data type is string. Similarly, scanner SC, it's a variable of data type scanner, like student S. So ST is a variable of data type student. Similarly, iMouse M. So these are all variable, okay? Variable of data type string, variable of data type scanner, variable of data type student, variable of data type iMouse. So they all are the variables, okay? And these are all data types. So in that perspective, this is also a data type which is called as custom or non-primitive data type, okay? Non-primitive data type. Hope you guys are able to understand it. Now, ideally, when I create an object of a class, of course, it's a class, so I can create an object of that class. How do I create an object of that class? New CPU IMPL. So I'm creating an object of this class, right? I can assign it into any reference. This reference can be of same class, that is CPU IMPL. It's just like this: cat C equal to new cat, product P equal to new product, student S equal to new student. Similarly, CPU IMPL equal to new CPU IMPL. Or it can be object also, a superclass called object, possible. If I give superclass reference, then it becomes upcasting. Or it can be even iMouse also. Okay, because iMouse is the parent of CPU IMPL. So basically, a reference type in the first case, just observe here. In the first case, a reference type, this is first case, a reference type, this is reference, this is data type. Reference type is a class. In second case, reference type is a class. But in the third case, reference type is an interface. Okay, and this is first case. In the first case, and in the second case, reference type is a class, because object is a class, CPU IMPL is a class. But in the third case, reference type is an interface. Okay, so if you take that third case, which we are dealing here, third case that we are dealing here. So just observe. I'm going to select it. I take this plus I take the second part of it. That is started from here, I guess. If I take this part here, and of course the last one. What is that last one? This one. If I take this here, now observe, it becomes upcasting, right? So what do you mean by upcasting? Super interface reference subclass object, that's called upcasting. So this entire line is considered as what? Upcasting. Upcasting. Why? Because this left side is from parent, right side is from child. So super interface reference subclass object, this is called upcasting. So remember guys, we cannot create an object of interface. Again and again I'm repeating it. We cannot create an object of interface. What is interface here? iMouse is an interface. I cannot write like this. First of all, this is 100% wrong. Why? Because interface object cannot be created. Second thing, interface cannot have constructor. So obviously this is compilation error. We cannot create an object of interface. Are you clear? Very, very important. It's not possible. But an interface can be used as a reference. In this case, I'm just using it as a reference. Observe here. In this case, I'm just using it as a reference. This is only a reference, but this is not an object. So it is a reference type. Okay. So this point is important. Let us open MS Paint and continue. Open this with MS Paint. This point I'll continue. Okay. Okay, we cannot create an object of interface. We cannot create an object of interface. Okay, let's say I'm gonna make it as 80 interface, but interface can be used to refer its subclass object. Clear? So it can be used to refer any of its subclass object, but we cannot create an object of that interface, right? Observe here. So in the diagram which I have created, I'm not in the diagram which I have just written in this, I'm not creating an object of interface, but I'm using it to refer to its subclass object. That is the point that I have written here. Okay, we cannot create an object of interface, but an interface can be used to refer its subclass object, and this concept is technically called as what? Upcasting. If that is the case, we call it as what? Upcasting. Right? Now, we will apply this concept in our Eclipse for the program that we had written in the last class. So I had created a mouse interface. Okay. Also, this is the mouse interface. Also, I have created something called a CPU implementation. Observe here. This is an interface. Interface has how many methods here? I'm talking about abstract methods, free abstract methods. Click, double click, right click. Similarly, there is one static method and there is one default method, but these two methods are concrete methods. Observe, because we do have logic. It is possible to write concrete method from JDK 1.8. Okay, it's possible to create a concrete method or define a concrete method in an interface from JDK 1.8. Right? So now somewhere I think test program is already there. Now I'm going to create a program called test. Right? So now I'm going to create a mouse. I'm equal to new CPU IMPA. So what am I doing here? This is a mouse reference and this is a subclass object. This line of code is called as what? Upcasting. Now you can call all the methods. What are the methods? You can click on this. You can right click on it, right? M dot right click. You can say M dot double click. You can call all these methods, okay? You can even call, how do you call that static method? iMouse dot M1. This is how you call the static method, okay? Invoking static method of interface. This is how we call it, okay? I'm invoking the static method of this interface. So similarly, you can even call m dot the default method. What is the name of the default method? I forgot. M2. Right? You can say m dot m2. Right? That's it. Invoking a default method. This is how it works. Right? So in today's session, we're going to talk about what is the use of this interface and types of interfaces. So I'll continue your class till 12 o'clock, okay? I'll not get it over by 11:30. I'll continue till 12 o'clock. So I hope you're okay with that. Right? Yeah, Shiv, I'm recording. Anyone has any questions on this? Any questions on this? Please ask me if you have any questions. Good. Ideally, yes, Bhavani Prasad. Ideally, yes. Otherwise, it will not be greatly useful. Good. So, can we or shall we start understanding what is the meaning of what is the use of this interface? Okay, sure. Thank you. Yes, Dheeraj Sai. Usually we call the static method by class name, but in my case, I have not defined that static method in a class. Hence, since I have defined it inside an interface, I have to call it by interface name. Okay, fine. I'll continue explaining. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll explain you what is the meaning of this marker interface. Okay, very important. There is one thing called marker interface. So observe. In Java, there are three types of interfaces out there. Repeat, in Java, there are three types of interfaces. All right. So let me open the notes. Observe. So basically, there are three types of interfaces. What are the three types of interfaces available in Java? The first thing is regular interface. that we have written till now, right? It's called regular interface. Regular interface. This interface we have already seen, right? Whatever the interfaces that I have written till now, that's called regular interface. Another one is called marker interface, okay? Marker interface. Marker interface is also called as tagging interface. Tagging interface. The third one is called functional interface. Functional interface. Functional interface is also technically called as SAM. SAM. Okay, so these are all the three types of interface, but I'm not going to teach you what is the meaning of functional interface. It becomes little tricky or difficult for you unless you know the realistic uses of interface. You cannot understand what is the meaning of functional interface. But I will teach you what is the meaning of marker interface. The first one we have already seen, the regular interface, an interface with many abstract methods, which is meant to be overridden by a subclass. That's called regular interface, right? So now let's start understanding what is the meaning of this tagging interface or marker interface. I think this is the notes that I had given it to you on the other day. I believe. Hmm. Let's start talking about what is the meaning of this marker interface. A marker interface, listen to me carefully. A marker interface is an interface, it's an empty interface which does not have any methods. I'll repeat, a marker interface is an empty interface, right? Empty interface which does not have any methods in it. When I say empty interface, absolutely empty, nothing is there. So obviously, having said this, you get a question, what are the use of such interface when it is empty, correct? What do you do with that emptiness? Someone by so Vijay Kumar and Sridit, please listen. Not only these two guys, everyone who are attending this session, you have to understand one thing. Usually, I just minimize this chat window every time I don't open it. Okay, when I ask you when I ask you saying that any questions, at that time you're supposed to ask questions. You guys are in between asking questions like I continue topic. At that time, if you ask me a question, I'll not be even in sync with that. Okay, so please understand this. Okay, so you guys have to ask the question when I allow you to ask the question, or when I request you to ask the question. That time you ask me. Okay, now in between you have asked some question why multiple inheritance is not possible in class and possible in interface. Vijay Kumar, I already answered this question, Mr. Vijay Kumar, that why it is not multiple inheritance is not possible in class, and that is very clearly I answered on the other day, if I'm not wrong. Srijit is saying, sir, this session record. Yes, I'm recording. Today is Vishu, true. So, okay, after 11:30 you cannot attend. Okay, no problem. In fact, we also celebrate today. So for us, it's a Yugadi for us, like you guys. I'm also from Mangalore, okay? Sure, I'll continue now. Wish you the same. Thank you. I'll continue, okay? So I was talking about marker interface, okay? Marker interface is an empty interface which does not have any methods. When I say does not have any methods, no methods, nothing, empty interface. Clear? Surprising, right? So there are few predefined marker interfaces are available in Java. Let's understand what are those predefined marker interfaces which are available in Java, right? Just observe here. So these are all some of the marker interfaces available in Java. Please understand it. Serializable, clonable, random access, remote, event listeners. So these are all the predefined marker interfaces available in Java. Hold on 1 second, please. Fine, let's understand what is this, what are the uses of this marker interface, what do we do with an empty interface and all. Okay, let me give you a certain example before I actually start with this marker interface. You all have to understand this, try to understand this example. Okay, uh, sometimes marking has meaning. Okay, not sometimes, many times marking has got some meaning. Simple example. Let's say you go for voting. After voting, the moment after you vote, okay, they're going to put one mark onto your finger, isn't it? They put one mark onto this finger, either of this finger. So it means to say it has a meaning. What is the meaning? So that you have already voted. That's the meaning of it, correct? So remember this word, marking has got meaning. Similarly, let's say you are driving on the Ghat section, hilly area is there. So this hilly area has got very curvy roads. Okay, there is a marking somewhere, red color or yellow color marking, okay, on or the white color marking saying that danger zone, please go slow. That marking has very important meaning for you, correct? So it indicates some message for you. Whoever going to look into that mark, okay, they come to know that, okay, it indicates certain activity. So what is the activity that it indicates for you? The activity that indicates for you is like, okay, it says that you have to drive slowly and there is a danger there, right? So this kind of indication is very, very important. Okay, similarly in Java, in many cases we have to indicate and inform some activity to JVM. I'll repeat, in many cases in Java, we have to indicate, we have to mark on certain things and indicate an information. We should give some information to JVM, right? How to do it? That is done through marker interface. Okay, so this is little tricky to understand just through theory. I'll explain to you by giving one example of serializable, then hopefully you will understand it, because theoretically or definition wise, it's little tricky for you to understand. Okay, let me explain that to you. Just give me 1 minute. One second, please. Now you're able to see my screen, it seems. Now observe. There is something called serializable. I'll take an example of serializable. Okay. If you look into this example, there is one marker interface called serializable. Let's start understanding it with an example. Now, carefully observe. I'm going to explain you a process of serialization. Okay, I'll repeat. I'm going to explain you the process of serialization. Now, there is a class in my case, in my project, I have a class. Okay, this class, some class, okay, for example, it's a student class. Student class has some property. Listen to me carefully. It has got some properties like ID of the student, name of the student, percentage of the student. This is a class, okay? Now, I create an object of this class. I create an object of this class here. Student. Okay, I have created an object. Now I'm going to initialize the variables s.id. This student ID is, let's say, 33. S.name equal to see, amazing, no? This is these are all the properties of this object. Okay, now what do I do? The moment when I created, of course, the objects are created in the heap memory. They're created in the heap area. Correct? Good. What is S? It's a reference. So object is created in the heap area. What are the states of this object? ID equal to 33, right? Name equal to shishira, as well as percentage equal to 99.9. So basically these are all the states. Can I call them as states? States, or it's also called as what? Properties. Right? What is S? A reference referring to this particular object. We know this story. Good. So now my requirement is this. From my Java program, right? I have written a Java program and I have created an object. Okay. My requirement is very simple. From my Java program, I want to write some data into an external file. Okay, this is the file and this is my Java program. I want to write certain data from my Java program to the file. Okay, I want to save some data into this file. So this is called as saving the data. So I want to save the data, or I want to write the data. So this process is called as output process. Because from Java, you are writing something into the file. It means to say you have the data with you, the data which is here, the going from Java program to the file. Okay, this is called output process or save process or write process. All right. So now what data that you have? So here in my case, I have a data which is nothing but a Java object. Here I have a Java object, okay? Java object. This Java object, let's say, has states. What are the states? ID equal to 33, name equal to shishira, right? And then percentage equal to 99.9. Similarly, it also has something called class name. What is a class name? Student. Important. Class name is important. So basically here, these things are called as states. This is called class name. Never forget it, okay? We have class name and we also have states. Now what I'm going to do is I have to save this Java object data into this file. When I'm saving this, what happens is the data has to travel maybe over network, right? This data has to travel from Java program to the file. So here is the stuff. Here we call this, there is a mechanism called, okay, there is a concept called, just observe, there's a concept called serialization. There's a concept called serialization. Very, very important. Never forget this. There's a concept called serialization. So what do you mean by this serialization? Serialization, now I'm going to explain. Okay, listen. Serialization is the process of converting. Someone please mute your microphone. Who is this? Others, keep your microphone muted. So when I see any kind of activity, I'm seriously going to dismiss you guys from this meeting, okay? Simply listen. It's okay, fine. Please observe. I was explaining this, the serialization. Okay, here you also should know one thing called stream. Okay, I'll repeat, there is something called stream. Stream means continuous flow of data is called stream. Please listen to me carefully. Continuous flow of data is called as stream, right? So you know water stream. In the forest, you can find this water stream where water keep on flowing, right? That is called water stream. Similarly, here we use the word called stream. The meaning of stream is pretty simple. It's a continuous flow of data. That's called that's called stream, right? Data stream or simply stream. If the data is in byte format, then it is called as byte stream. Okay, what is that word? Byte stream. These terminologies don't forget, okay? It is called byte stream. Byte stream. What is the meaning of byte stream? It's a continuous flow of data. It's a sequence of data. Better word is sequence of data, right? Stream means what? Sequence of data. Sequence of data. What sequence of data? Which is there in the byte format. So the sequence of byte data. So I'm going to modify it, right? Sequence of byte data. So this is called as byte stream. Are you clear? So this is the meaning of byte stream. If someone asks what is byte stream, you should answer it's a sequence of byte data. So now, so listen here carefully. Now, if you want to save the data from Java program to a file, first thing very important is we have to convert the data. We have to convert the data. This is not going to end, I think. The story will never end. I already dismissed 2 students. Again, someone is talking. Again, I'll dismiss them. I don't know what is the intention of these guys. Okay, let me come back to this concept. I lost the flow, what I was explaining. This is the problem, it happens. So I have been telling many times that when I explain something, I visualize and explain. Some picture, movie runs in my mind and I visualize and I explain. So now I disturbed, I literally lost. I forgot what I was talking about. Okay. Oh shit, I think I was explaining this. Okay, fine. So now I have a data here in my Java program. I have a data. I have to save this data into a file. But my data, observe here, this is an object. This is an object, okay? Java object. This is a simple plain Java object, right? Now what we are supposed to do is, so if you really want to save this object into a file, I'll repeat, if you want to save this object into a file, what we are supposed to do is we have to convert. We have to firstly, we have to convert what to convert this object states along with this class information. Okay, I'll repeat. First, we have to convert these these are all object states along with class information. We have to convert it. Okay, what to convert? Objects states apostrophe s. Okay, objects, observe, objects apostrophe s, objects states. Okay, we have to convert this object state along with the class information. What you're supposed to do now, you have to convert it into a byte stream. Okay, you have to convert it into a byte stream. All right, so you have to convert this into a byte stream, but this process is done by JVM. You need not to do it. Okay, so the conversion of the conversion of object state along with this class information into a byte state, right, into a byte format, right, and byte format, and this data is supposed to be saved into a file. Okay, directly we cannot save this data into a file. It has to be converted into a byte format, and this byte format of data can be saved into a file, right? So this process has to. So now if I ask you, hey guys, write a program and convert this id name percentage along with a class name called student, convert it into byte format, byte stream, how would you do it? You cannot do it, right? So that's why this can be automatically performed by something called JVM. Okay, who does it automatically? This process is automatically performed by JVM. You need not to worry about it. JVM does it for you, right? But you have to inform JVM for doing it. JVM is capable of doing, but you should inform JVM, no? Yes or no? So this process of converting the object's state along with its class information into a byte stream is called as serialization. So listen to me carefully. Serialization is the process or mechanism of the conversion of states of an object along with its class information into byte stream. I'll write that definition somewhere here. You will understand it in a better way. Okay. Please observe, serialization is process or mechanism of converting objects apostrophe s object state along with its class information into into a byte stream, into a byte stream. And are you clear now? So who is responsible for serialization? JVM is responsible for serialization, right? So now JVM is capable of serializing an object. So we should say, hey JVM, please serialize an object. Please serialize an object. When you tell this, I mean, you have to inform it. For informing, what you need to know, the WhatsApp number of JVM so that you can send a message to JVM, correct? Once you know WhatsApp number of JVM, you can send a WhatsApp message to JVM saying that, hey JVM, please convert this object state into, along with the class information, into byte stream. Please do it. Now JVM will ask a question. Okay, object of which class you are talking about? There are 1,000 classes are there in your project. Object of which class you are talking about, right? So that's why it's very important to inform JVM. How do you inform JVM? By marking. Please try to understand, how do you inform JVM? By marking. Through marking, you must inform JVM about this activity. Are you clear? So how do you mark it? That marking happens by using something called marker interface. I'll repeat. Now marking happens by using something called marker interface. So how do you mark? By implementing. Observe, implements. You want an object of student class. You want an object of student class to be serialized, right? Then you should mark this class, right? Student implements a marker interface called serializable. Now observe this. This is called marker interface. So this is one of the marker interface. This is called marker interface. So now you are marking and then you are telling JVM that, hey JVM, look JVM, if I create an object of this student, class. Whenever I create an object of student class like this, okay, so you have to take care of serializing this particular object. So this is the way to indicate an activity to JVM. But that is done by using something called marker interface. Okay, now listen to me. There are two things. Okay, when I write any abstract methods in an interface, the purpose of that abstract method is to override that in the subclass. I'll repeat it. Right, whenever usually we write a regular interface, I already explained that there are three types of interfaces. If you remember, somewhere I have written it. Where did I write it? So there are three types of interface. One is called marker interface, regular interface, functional interface. Okay, regular interface is an interface where we write abstract methods and we override those methods in the subclass. That's a different story. But here, when I talk about marker interface, the reason of writing marker interface is not to override any methods. I'm not interested in overriding any methods because it does not have any methods only. Then what is the importance of that interface? That interface is purely used only to indicate JVM about an activity, that each each marker interface indicates one activity to JVM, right? Here in my case, I have something called this marker interface called, what is that name? Serializable. Serializable indicates JVM that, hey JVM, please serialize this object. Clear? So these are all predefined interfaces. You cannot write, see, you cannot define your own marker interface. I write one empty interface. Sir, can I call it as marker interface? Absolutely no. If you write marker interface, how JVM knows what you really want to indicate JVM activity as? What activity that you would like to indicate JVM? So remember, you cannot write marker interface. Marker interfaces are predefined empty interfaces. So Java, it is already defined as the part of Java subject, as the Java language. So this knows what is the meaning of that interface. So if you simply define one empty interface, or just an example, okay? I define one new interface here in my project, okay? I define one new interface called ding dong. This is my interface called ding dong. Now, this is marker interface. How JVM knows what to do now? So this is really nonsense code, okay? This is not called as marker interface. So marker interface is an empty interface. It's a predefined empty interface which indicates an activity to JVM. So each marker interface has a certain activity. Whatever you are indicating using serializable, that cannot be indicated using clonable. The purpose of clonable is different. I will explain you in a little while, okay? I will explain clonable also to you guys. So now what is the meaning of serializable? Serializable is a marker interface, which is nothing but an empty predefined interface, which indicates an activity to JVM. What activity it is indicating? It indicates an activity of serialization. It says that if whenever you implement in your class, whenever you implement serializable, it is an indication to JVM that my developer, okay, might create an object, and that object should be converted into byte stream if it is really required, so that it becomes easy for my Java programmer or developer to transfer that object, save that object into an external file. So this process is called as what? Serialization. So here a lot of interview questions, very commonly asked interview question: what is serialization? What is serialization? Serialization is a process or a mechanism of converting object states or states along with its class information into a byte stream. This process is called serialization, right? If you want to serialize an object, listen to me, if you want to serialize an object, then the class must implement serializable marker interface. This is compulsory. Let's imagine that you create an object of product and you want to save that product object into a file, right? You create an object of product class and you want to save that product object into this external file. Then the product class must implement serializable. Otherwise, you get a runtime exception. You have to be very, very careful. Hope things are clear now. So this is one of the use of marker interface, right? Now you can ask me questions. Please ask me questions. No, Vijay, automatically it will not be saved, but it will be serialized. Serialization is only converting the object state into byte format. That's it. Byte stream. That's it. But stream has to be saved. How to save the stream? That I will teach you in a separate chapter called IO serialization, file handling. There is a separate chapter called IO serialization and file handling, which I will teach you. Okay, slowly. Yeah, serialization is done by JVM. Okay, now someone is asking by name SP, Superintendent of Police. Okay, serialization interface is present in Java setup. No, again, try to understand it. So this is a time where you should understand all these things. Serialize in Java, I have taught you that thousands of inbuilt classes are there. Thousands. Thousands of inbuilt classes and interfaces are there. So we call it as Java library. Java library. Example, string is a class. It's an inbuilt class. Object is a class, which is an inbuilt class, correct? Similarly, we have a interface called serializable, clonable, blah, 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 blah. So many inbuilt classes, and list is an interface, array list, collection. Thousands and thousands of inbuilt classes and interfaces are there. They all are the part of Java library. Okay, you can find the Java library, observe in C, program files, Java. When I say program files, Java, JDK. Inside JDK, there is something called JRE. Inside JRE, there is something called lib. Lib stands for library. Inside library, there is something called rt.jar. Observe here, there is something called rt.jar. Inside this jar file, you can find all those inbuilt classes. Smita is asking, what is class information? See what happens, Smita, whenever you create an object and save that object, right, you will understand in detail about serialization, deserialization chapter. At that time, I also need a class information, because once you save an object in a class, later when you retrieve it, see what is the whole purpose of saving? Because I want to use it in future, correct? Why are you saving money now? So that in future, why do you generally save money? So that whenever you are in bad time, that time you can use that money, correct? In the same way, I save the object, right, along with especially the data of that object, so that whenever I want that data, I can retrieve it back from that particular file. So at that time, when I retrieve, I should know the object is from which class. That's why we also need class information. Ayushi is asking, please write difference, sir. I didn't understand what is the meaning of that question. No, okay. If everything happens automatically, then why study? Why to study that concept? Who is this guy? SP, what is your actual name? This is a very vague question, okay? You should understand this in your school days. Why do you study about respiratory system when it automatically happens? Why do you study about your heart or human system when everything happens automatically? Hmm? Correct, no, SP. Similarly, here, a lot of things happens in Java automatically, but being a developer, we should know it, right? If I had not taught this, that you have to implement the serializable. If you don't implement this serializable, simply if you create an object, then automatically it will not happen. To make it to happen, you need to know what to do. For that reason, I have explained it. Okay. SP, your name is Anu. Oh, okay. Naveen is asking questions. Sir, in what situation we use serializable, and why do we need to save an external file? So why do we need to save the data in an external file? Okay, good question. So the more about this question, we are going to more about the serialization and serializable. What is the exception, possible exception? What is file handling? Why to save the data? How to save the data? How to retrieve the data? We're going to understand the separate chapter called IO serialization and file handling. It's a chapter name, right? So now I'm teaching you only the concept of serializable and serialization from the context or with respect to this marker interface, because today's discussion is only about marker interface. Observe these notes. Okay. So marker interface is a predefined empty interface which does not have any methods. That's the definition. The marker interface is used to indicate an activity to JVM, to indicate certain activity to JVM. Okay, I'll write it here. Marker interface. Marker interface is an empty predefined interface which does not have any methods in it, so marker interface is used to indicate certain activity to JVM. Are you clear? It is used to indicate certain activity to JVM. Right? This is one of the commonly asked interview question, that what is marker interface? And you start explaining marker interface is an empty predefined interface, then which does not have any methods in it. Immediately they will ask you next question, then what is the use of such methods? Clear? The use of that marker interface is to indicate certain activity to JVM. Next question, name few marker interfaces available in Java, right? That time you should answer this. Serializable, clonable, random access, which you will learn in collection framework. When I teach collection framework, that time I'll teach you what is the meaning of this random access. Then remote is outdated, which is the part of RMI, remote method invocation. So I'm not going to teach you what is the meaning of remote, because it's a concept, outdated concept called RMI. So event listener, again, it's a part of that applet swings and all, again, outdated. So we are not going to talk about these two things. Okay. I taught you what is serializable, right? I'll teach you clonable now, and I'll teach you this random access in collection framework. Smita, you are wrong. Marker interface is not an activity. Have common sense. Marker interface is not an activity. It is an interface to indicate an activity. There is a difference between the activity and indication to that activity. Sam is asking me a question, sir. Please write regular interface definition. Hey, regular interface is nothing. Regular interface means interface is an intermediate between the service and the consumer. That is the meaning of regular interface. That's the definition. Okay. Now let's understand what is the meaning of clonable. Okay. Now I'll explain you what is the meaning of clonable. Observe here. Clonable means it's something related to cloning. You know perfectly what is the meaning of cloning. Cloning means copying. Okay, cloning means copying. Now observe. So now I write code and explain what is the meaning of cloning. Okay, cloning means copying. Please everyone remember, cloning means copying. Creating the copy of one is called as cloning. Okay, so now I have a class, let's say um, uh, customer class. I have a class called customer. Customer has something called customer email ID, right? Customer name and customer contact number. Are you clear? So now please observe everyone. I'll explain you cloning. Now what to do is I'm going to create an object of this customer class. Okay. How do I create an object of this customer class? Customer C equal to new customer. So you can write, appropriate constructor. You can define some parameterized constructor. It's up to you, right? C1 I call it as. Now C1 dot email ID equal to blah 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 some email ID. Okay. Now C1 dot name equal to Guldu. C1 dot contact. C1 dot contact equal to some contact number. Okay. 7760313148. I don't know. This is contact number. Now, technically what is happening here, we have created an object in the heap area. So in the heap area, we have created an object. One object is there. Name of this, what are the properties? Name equal to Guldu, right? And then contact equal to this one, right? And email ID. Email equal to some email. I don't care about what is the email. So now what I want a copy of this object. I want one more copy of the same object. Are you clear? Now what do you do if you want one more copy of the same object? Many people wrongly tell. Now observe. I'll take this. I'll write it properly. Okay. So what is C1? C1 is a reference referring to this particular object, correct? Many people, if they give me wrong answers when I ask this question, okay, I want one more copy of this object, then how do they create? They create like this. Customer C2 equal to C1. Wrong. When you say customer C2 equal to C1, the address stored in C1 is assigned to, thoroughly observe, the address stored in C1 is assigned to C2. Right? Hence what happens, the C2 will also start referring to the same object. Now observe how many object is there. Object is only one. Now right now object is only one. I don't want one object, I want one more copy of the same object. Able to understand now? I want one more copy of the same object. That reason, what you need to do is, right, if you want one more copy of the same object, then what you need to do, you need to create yourself, you need to create a new object. Okay, how you need to create an object? One more new customer, one more customer. Now what happens? One more object is created. What is C2? C2 is a reference which is referring, but this content should be copied from here to here. If you want to copy this content from the first object to the second object, then you have to write a program now. How do you write a program? C2 dot email ID, C2 dot email equal to C1 dot email. Then what are you doing? You're copying the email from C1. C1 is nothing but this. Copy this from C1 and assign it into C2. Now what happens? Now this email will be same as whatever the email which is present here. Similarly, I have to copy like sorry, c2 dot name must be same as c1 dot name, right? Similarly, c2 dot contact is same as c1 dot contact. So basically we are copying everything from one object and assigning it into the second object. So now what happens here, name will be same which is present in Guldo, but one more copy. Okay. Similarly, contact number is same which is as present in the first object, that is 7760313148, whatever it is. Okay, it is going to be same. So what I'm trying to explain out of this is, this is the way to copy, right? This is called, now I can say this is a cloned copy of the first one, but this is a lengthy process. This is a very lengthy process. That's why what you need to do, there is an easy way in Java. This is a very easy way. If you really want to clone one object to the other object, how to do it? That is something like this. Listen to me carefully. Now, customer C3 equal to customer C3 equal to C1 dot clone, C1 dot clone. Okay, the code is going to be little different. Actually, this is not the actual code, but it is the 70% right code, but this is not an actual code. Okay, so why I'm not writing actual code for that, something called exception handling is required. That's why I'm not writing an actual code, but this is almost a similar code. So observe, there is a method called clone which I'm calling on C1. Now what does this method do? Now here you are indicating that clone the C1, clone this C1, that is create a copy of C1 and put it onto C3, assign it onto C3. So it means to say you are creating a clone copy. When I say clone copy, what is the meaning of it? Clone copy means another same exact copy. So now question is, JVM should allocate one object for this, sorry, one space for this, because you are creating one more clone copy of C1. So for that reason, JVM must allocate one space. Now JVM has to allocate the space for you. Also, not only that, JVM must copy. Okay, JVM must copy. Observe here, observe here. JVM must copy these data. JVM must copy these data. It's not. I use this. Okay. Okay. JVM must copy all these things from there to here. This one, all these things must be copied to here. So this activity is supposed to be done by JVM. So two activity, one is creation of object, allocation of space, and here a space must be allocated by JVM, and you are not using new keyword. Observe, in this case you are not using any new keyword, but still JVM has to allocate the space, right? So how JVM comes to know that it has to allocate a space, copy the states of this object and put it onto this? How does it know? So in this case, email will be same as C1. Email is going to be same like how it is there in the C1. Name is same as like that. Name is going to be Guldu. Okay. Contact is going to be this. Right? How does JVM know all these things? You have to indicate JVM, correct? So that indication, information, you should give it to JVM. That for that information, we use something called marker interface. So now you must indicate JVM saying that implements clonable, implements clonable. So you are indicating JVM, please JVM, whenever I create an object of this customer class, and whenever I call the clone method, whenever I call this clone method, you should do all this activity. What is that activity? Allocate the memory, copy the states of that object, and paste those states here. It's basically one more copy of, one more clone of, one more clone, okay? One more clone of this object here. So this activity is done. For that, we need to inform JVM. For that information purpose, we use this marker interface. Okay. Any questions now? No questions. All of them have become very silent. Good. Thank you. No, 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 not possible. Naveen Vasu, we are only cloning an object. Sure, guys. Thank you. I'm also done from my end. Thank you very much.